Oscar goes to...
Oh, the house! Charlie Wachtell, David Rabinowitz, and Kevin Wilmot at Spike Lee!
Spike Lee is one of the greatest living directors in the film industry today. But what makes his work so great? Spike Lee is unique in that he accurately paints the double consciousness of the Black community in a completely entertaining way, focusing on narratives that both highlight the oppression yet empowerment of the Black community. Spike Lee's films serve as a commentary on the complexity of the Black experience, and his art navigates the fear, unity, and socioculture of the community. Through his work, we've conducted a sociological analysis of the Black experience through the lens of power, colorism, familial structure, and authenticity. Films like BlacKkKlansman, Do the Right Thing, Crooklyn, School Days, She's Gotta Have It, and Bamboozled best represent these sociological themes.
BlacKkKlansman is about an African-American detective, Ron Stallworth, that goes undercover to expose the KKK with the help of his fellow colleagues. When breaking down the power structures of this film, it is clear that the police force is seen as the authoritative force, and the African Americans are addressed as the lower class. Even the supporting protagonists are aware of this dynamic when hiring Ron, talking to him about some of the unfortunate and unique circumstances he will have to deal with as a result of his race. Ron's emotions are consistently repressed in the office, and he is told to turn the other cheek like Jackie Robinson.
Now, if we make you an officer, you will, in effect, be the Jackie Robinson of the Colorado Springs Police Force.
There is also a moment in the film where Ron is arrested because they do not believe that he's an officer due to the color of his skin. The more interesting challenge to power in the film is the direct contrast between the KKK and the Black activists. We hear direct testimonies of Black people being put in their place by white authority, which is exactly what the KKK is trying to do in the film. Threatened by a Black uprising, they set up a cross burning as scare tactics, and they attempt to bomb an important Black leader. We also see the literal leader of the KKK in a position of power running for political office. When Ron scoffs at the idea of him getting elected, his colleagues affirm him of the very real possibility of America voting in an outwardly racist man. While the film is certainly a reflection of the time, it is clear that the issues presented are still prevalent today. At the end of the film, Spike Lee makes the choice of inserting real footage from modern times, videos of real racism causing real violence, and the country sitting by watching idly. He makes it clear that there is no free America, and white people with bad intentions still hold plenty of power. Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing is a story about a Brooklyn neighborhood on a historically hot day with even hotter racial tension. Eventually, the tension blows up and it leads to a violent finale. This film, like BlacKkKlansman, uses the police as an authoritative force. Even though the neighborhood is a primarily Black neighborhood, the few white police officers govern the area.
This hydrant better not come back on again, or there's gonna be hell to pay. Come and answer to me, goddammit.
It is also worth pointing out that the only people who have success in the town are not Black, like Sal and the Korean shop owners. We see a few moments where the Black community pushes back through small rebellions like the fire hydrant scene, or the scene where Buggin' Out demands that Sal put some brothers on the wall.
Rarely do I see any American Italians eating in here. All I see is Black folks. So since we spend much money here, we do have some say.
By the end of the film, we see the ultimate act of racial violence in the show of power when the police kill Radio Raheem, and the ultimate act of rebellion when Mookie throws the trash can and everyone invades and destroys the pizzeria. The end of the film makes it clear that nothing is resolved, but something has to be done. And the film even offers two philosophies in the form of quotes from two of the most influential Black leaders in the civil rights era, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. These two quotes promote different ways to fight the power, one with love and one with hate, much like the story we hear from Radio Raheem. However, if Raheem's story is any indicator, the two hands will be fighting forever, giving the film a depressingly tragic question: will things ever get better? The film reflects real life as just 3 years later, the LA race riots break out as a result of police brutality of Rodney King.
Spike Lee's School Days is a film that follows a group of students who are attending an HBCU. The film follows two factions, the popularity-obsessed frat and the socially aware activists. Through these students, we see how social hierarchy, desirability politics, and elitism exist within the African American community. School Days acknowledges many issues prominent within the Black community. but the exploration of the effects of colorism and texturism is the most poignant. Colorism is defined as prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a darker skin tone. Darker skin is often viewed as animalistic and masculine. In relation to Black women, those who are more melanated tend to be defeminized. The socially aware faction is made up of people with darker skin and kinkier hair textures, whereas the popular Greek life students have lighter skin, Eurocentric features, and relaxed/lighter hair. The racial tension is mainly seen among the women of the respective factions and culminates in a lively West Side Story-esque dance sequence, Good and Bad.
Light-skinned girls in one hotel, the dark-skinned girls in a motel. Create real method chaos.
The tension we see between the women was meticulously crafted by Lee. School Daze was released in 1988 and is still one of the few films to explicitly acknowledge colorism within a story. Over the past couple of decades, representation of Black women on screen has fluctuated. Since the release of School Daze, colorism is mostly addressed through intentional casting instead of plot exposition. In today's media, we see Black women of all different appearances on screen, but there are also moments where Black women are exclusively represented by light-skinned or biracial women. Only addressing colorism through casting and not in the writer's room is lazy. Colorism is a very personal and complex topic. Displaying the discussion authentically is a responsibility that Spike Lee and very few have accomplished. Written by Spike Lee's siblings, Crooklyn is a semi-autobiographical story focusing on the joy and heartache the Lee children experienced while growing up in Fort Greene, Brooklyn during the 1970s. It follows Troy, a headstrong and confident 9-year-old, as she learns life lessons from her rambunctious brothers, stern mother, caring father, and colorful yet boisterous neighborhood. Before films like Moonlight, Dope, and ATL, Spike Lee's Crooklyn showed the unique experience of coming of age as a Black person in America. Black coming-of-age films differ from their white counterparts in many ways. Trivial problems such as cliques, detention, and school dances do not compare to drugs infiltrating your neighborhood, food stamps, and generational illnesses disproportionately affecting your community. Some see Crooklyn as Lee's return to form. Crooklyn is wholesome, authentic, and heartfelt. Unlike his previous films, Crooklyn does not focus solely on race politics, but on how race politics heightens the struggles of everyday life. Family structure refers to the beliefs, morals, and relationship structure of the individuals who make up a family. When creating this film, Lee wanted to combat the common stereotypes of Black families. Black families are the embodiment of love conquering all. Even when Troy's parents disagree, love is still present. Her mother is very stern, but that is only because she is assigned with teaching her children how to survive in a world that's constantly out to get them. When Troy's mother passes away from cancer, the 9-year-old immediately assumes the matriarchal role in her family. Historically, the African American family unit has endured many obstacles, but Crooklyn highlights the love that holds them together regardless of the storms that come their way.
Now, I think it's important that we define what this concept of Black authenticity really is. Black authenticity refers to the idea of what it means to be Black and who gets to define that. Though seemingly a subjective ideal, it is restrained by the media's commodification of their realness combined with the Black individual's internalization of these harmful stereotypes. These constraints are quote-unquote revealed through class and gendered ideals, along with derogatory constructions of the other based in traditional racial stereotypes. Spike Lee explores this concept within his film, She's Gotta Have It. She's Gotta Have It is Spike Lee's directorial debut from 1986 that follows Nola Darling, a strong, independent woman living in Brooklyn, while she attempts to balance her sexual relationship with 3 different men, Jamie, Mars, and Greer. Spike Lee redefines what it means to be Black, specifically a Black woman, through an exploration of her sexuality. Historically, Black women have been exploited and abused for their sexual behaviors, being stereotyped as quote-unquote not only emotionally callous but physically invulnerable. Spike Lee, keeping in mind that he is still a man, which leaves some bias in this framework, comments on these stereotypes through his construction of Nola. Throughout the film, Nola's lovers attempt to dissuade her from having multiple partners, claiming that she has an illness because of it. As these men try to influence and control her, it is ultimately Nola herself who decides what's best for her, and what she desires most in life, her autonomy and pleasure.
I love you.
Mr. Dunwoody, please sit back and allow me to paint a picture.
The second film, and most controversial of all, is Lee's 2000 film Bamboozled. Bamboozled is a dark satire about a TV executive, Pierre Delacroix, who after receiving negative feedback for his pitches, decides that the only way for him to be successful is to paint Black people through their stereotypes. Hence, he creates
Man Tan. the new millennium minstrel show.
This film calls forth the notion of what it means to be black. Is it defined by the color of the skin, the culture one grew up in, or something else? By creating a minstrel show, Delacroix attempts to define yet also exercise his blackness for the benefit of capital and success. The narrative is ironic in that it overturns on itself. Delacroix exploits and rejects his blackness in a way that invalidates his own historical understanding of his culture. It is a form of self-destruction. Through Bamboozled, Lee shows the harm of defining blackness in the lens of those in power, for it only exploits and dismantles the community altogether.
The Mantan Manifesto. Catchy, ain't it?
So is syphilis.
Lee's work is important because it conflicts with the normal Hollywood structure in favor for more challenging and critically divisive ideas. He is honest and real in the way that he portrays the Black community, avoiding exploitation and performity while remaining a respected auteur in the American film industry. Lee challenged comedy-centric entertainment at the time by being an artist that filled the gap with Black entertainment through socially conscious media. Because of his influence, Spike Lee has broken down the barriers for current artists such as Donald Glover, Ava DuVernay, and Jordan Peele to explore their creativity and push the boundaries of Black art while uplifting and respecting their culture unapologetically. Spike Lee's legacy will be remembered for being a disruptivator in the film industry and for telling Hollywood that they need to wake up.